लोहितः उतैनं गोपा अदृशन्नदृशन्नुदाहार्यः उतैनं विश्वा भूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयातिनः नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीडुषे अतो ये अस्य सत्त्वानोऽहं तेभ्यो करन्नमः प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोरार्त्रियोर्ज्याम् याश्च ते हस्त इषवः पराता भगवो वम अवतत्यदनुस्त्वगुं सहस्राक्षशतेषु दे निशील्य शल्यानामुखा शिवो नः सुमना भव विद्यं धनुक्कपर्दिनो विशल्यो बाणवागुम् उत अनेशन्नस्येषव आबुलस्य निशं गतिः या देहेतिर्मीडुष्टमहस्ते बभूवते धनुः तयास्मान् विश्वतस्त्वमयक्ष्मया परिभुजा नमस्ते अस्त्वायुधाय नाददाय धृष्णवे उभाभ्यामुत ते नमो बाहुभ्यां तव धन्वने परिते धन्वनो हेतिरस्मान् वृणक्तु विश्वतः अतो य इषुदिस्तवारे अस्मन्निदेहितम् नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः नमो हिरण्यबाहवे सेनान्ये दिशां च पतये नमो नमो वृक्षेभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यः पशूनां पतये नमो नमः सस्मिञ्जराय त्वषेमते पतीनां पतये नमो नमो बब्लुषाय विव्याधिने नानां पतये नमो नमो हरिकेशायोपवीतिने पुष्टानां पतये नमो नमो भवस्य हेत्यै जगतां पतये नमो नमो रुद्राय तताविने क्षेत्राणां पतये नमो नमः सूताय हन्त्याय वनानां पतये नमो नमो रोहिताय स्तपतये वृक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो मन्त्रिणे वाणिजाय कक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो भुवन्तये वारिवस्कृताय औषधीनां पतये नमो नम उच्चैर्दोषाय क्रन्दयते पत्नीनां पतये नमो नमः कृत्स्नवीताय धावते सत्त्वनां पतये नमः नमः सहमानाय निव्याधिन आव्याधिनीनां पतये नमो नमः ककुमाय निषङ्गिणे स्तेनानां पतये नमो नमो निषङ्गिण इषुधिमते तस्कराणां पतये नमो नमो वञ्चते परिवञ्चते सायोनां पतये नमो नमो निचेरवे परिचरायारण्यानां पतये नमो नमः सृकाव्यभ्यो जिगागुंसद्भ्यो मुष्णतां पतये नमो नमो शिवद्भ्यो नक्तञ्चरद्भ्यः प्रकृन्तानां पतये नमो नम उष्णीषिणे गिरिचराय कुलुञ्जानां पतये नमो नम यशुमद्भ्यो धन्वाविभ्यश्च वो नमो नम आतन्वानेभ्यः प्रतिदधानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः आयच्छन्यो विसृजभ्यश्च वो नमो नमोऽस्यन्यो विद्यभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः आसीनेभ्यः शयानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वमद्भ्यो जाग्रभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः तिष्ठद्भ्यो दावभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सवाभ्यः सवापतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो अश्वेभ्यो अश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नम आव्याधिनेभ्यो विविध्यन्तेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः उगणाभ्यस्त्रिगुंहतेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो कृत्सेभ्यो कृत्सपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो व्रातेभ्यो व्रातपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो विरूपेभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो महद्भ्यः शल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सेनाभ्यः सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रुभ्यः सङ्ग्रहेतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः तक्षद्भ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्वारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुञ्जिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुकृद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो मृगयोभ्यश्वनेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वभ्यश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नमो भवाय च रुद्राय च नमः शर्वाय च पशुपतये च नमो नीलग्रीवाय च शितिकण्ठाय च नमः कवर्दिने च युक्तकेशाय च नमः सहस्राक्षाय च शतधन्वने च नमो गिरिशाय च शिविविष्टाय च नमो मेरुष्टवाय चेषुमते च नमो ह्रस्वाय च वामनाय च नमो बृहते च वर्षेयसे च नमो वृद्धाय च संवृद्धने च नमो अग्र्याय च प्रथमाय च नमः आशवे च जिराय च नमः शीघ्रियाय च शीव्याय च नमः ऊर्व्याय च वस्वन्याय च नमः श्रोतस्याय च दीप्याय च नमो ज्येष्ठाय च कनिष्ठाय च नमः पूर्वजाय च परजाय च नमो मध्यमाय च प्रगल्भाय च नमो जगन्याय च बुद्धियाय च नमः सौख्याय च प्रतिसर्याय च नमो याम्याय च क्षेम्याय च नमः हर्वर्याय च खल्याय च नमः श्लोक्याय च वसान्याय च नमो वन्याय च कक्ष्याय च नमः श्रवाय च प्रतिश्रवाय च नमः आशुषेणाय च शुरताय च नमः शूराय च वविन्दते च नमो वर्मिणे च वरोधिने च नमो विल्मिने च कवचिने च नमः श्रुताय च श्रुतसेनाय च नमो दुन्दुभ्याय च हनन्याय च नमो दृष्टवे च प्रमृषाय च नमो दूताय च प्रहिताय च नमो निषङ्गिणे चेषुधिमते च नमस्तीक्ष्णे शवे च युधिने च नमः स्वायुधाय च सुधन्वने च नमः श्रुत्याय च मत्याय च नमः काट्याय च नेप्याय च नमः सोऽद्याय च सरस्याय च नमो नाद्याय च वैशन्ताय च नमः कोऽप्याय च वट्याय च नमो वर्ष्याय च वश्याय च नमो मेह्याय च विद्युत्याय च नमः ईद्रियाय च तप्याय च नमो वात्याय च रेश्म्याय च नमो वास्तव्याय च वास्तुवाय च ॐ हर 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 ॐ नमः सोमाय च रुद्राय च नमस्ताम्राय च रुणाय च नमः शङ्गाय च पशुपतये च नमः उग्राय च भीमाय च नमो अग्रे वधाय च दूरे वधाय च नमो हन्त्रे च हनीयसे च नमो वृक्षेभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यो नमस्ताराय नमः शम्भवे च मयो भवे च नमः शङ्कराय च मयस्कराय च नमः शिवाय च शिवतराय च नमः तेत्याय च कोल्याय च नमः पार्याय च वार्याय च नमः प्रतरणाय चोत्तरणाय च नमः आतार्याय च लाड्याय च नमः सस्प्याय च वेन्याय च नमः सिकत्याय च प्रवाह्याय च नमः हिरण्याय च प्रवत्याय च नमः किगुंशिलाय च क्षयणाय च नमः कवर्णिने च पुलस्तये च नमो गोष्ट्याय च गृह्याय च नमः तल्प्याय च गेह्याय च नमः काट्याय च गह्वरेष्ठाय च नमो हृदयाय च निवेश्याय च नमः पागुंसव्याय च रजस्याय च नमः शुष्क्याय च हरित्याय च नमो लोप्याय चोलप्याय च नमः ऊर्व्याय च सूर्याय च नमः पर्ण्याय च वर्णशद्याय च नमो पगुरमाणाय च विघ्नते च नमः आख्यदते च प्रख्यदते च नमो वक्किरिकेभ्यो देवानागुं हृदयेभ्यो नमो विक्षीणकेभ्यो नमो विचिन्वत्केभ्यो नम आनिर्हतेभ्यो नम आमीवत्केभ्यः द्रावे अन्धसस्पते दरिद्रन्नीललोहिता येषां पुरुषाणामेषां पशूनां माविर्मारोमो येषां किञ्चनामवत् या ते रुद्रशिवा तनो शिवा विश्वाः वेषजे शिवा रुद्रस्य वेषजे तया नो मृडजीवसे इमागुं रुद्राय तवसे कवर्णिने क्षयद्वीराय प्रवरामहे मतिं यथा नश्चमसद्विमदे चतुष्पदे विश्वं पुष्टं रामे अस्मिन्ननातुरम् मृणालो रुद्रोतनो मयस्कृदिक्षयद्वीराय नमसा विदेमते यच्चञ्चयोश्च मनुरायजे पिता तदश्याम तव रुद्रप्रणीतौ मानो महान्तमुतमानो अर्भकं मानो क्षन्तमुतमानो क्षितम् मानो वदीपितरं मोतमातरं प्रियामानस्तनुवो रुद्ररीरिषः मानस्तोके तनये मान आयुषिमानो गोषुमानो अश्वेषु रीरिषः वीरान्मानो रुद्रवाभितो वदेत् हविष्मन्तो नमसा विधेमते आरात्ते गोग्न उत मोरुषन्ने क्षयद्वीराय सुम्नमस्मेते अस्तु रक्षा च नो अधि च देव ब्रूयता च नश्च शर्वयच्च द्विवराः स्तुहि श्रुतं गत्तसदं युवानं मृगन्न भीममुपहत्तुमुग्रम् मृडाजरित्रे रुद्रस्तवानो अन्यन्ते अस्मन्निव बन्तु सेनाः परिणो रुद्रस्य हेतिर्वृणक्तुमरित्वेषस्य दुर्मतिरघायोः अवस्थिरा भगवद्भ्यस्तनुष्वमेणुस्तोकायतनयाय मृडया मेनुष्टम शिव तव शिवो न सुमना भव परमे वृक्ष आयुधन्निदाय कृत्तिं वसान आचरमिडाकं बिभ्रदागहि विकिरित विलोहित नमस्ते अस्तु भगवः यास्ते सहस्रगुं हेतयोऽन्यवस्मन्निव बन्तु ताः सहस्राणि सहस्रदा बाहोस्तव हेतयः तासामीशानो भगवः पराचेना मुखाकृते सहस्राणि सहस्रशो ये रुद्रा अधिभूम्याम् तेषागुं सहस्रयोजने वधन्वानि तन्मसि अस्मिन् महत्यर्णवेऽन्तरिक्षे भव अधि नीलग्रीवा शितिकण्ठाः शर्वा अधः क्षमाचराः नीलग्रीवा शितिकण्ठादिवगुं रुद्रा उपश्रिताः ये वृक्षेषु सस्पिञ्जरा नीलग्रीवा विलोहिताः ये भूतानामधिपतयो विशिखासक्खवर्णिनः ये अन्येषु विविद्यन्ते पात्रेषु विवतो जनान् ये पतां पतिरक्षय ऐलवृदायं युधः ये तीर्थानि प्रचरन्ति सृकावन्तो निषङ्गिणः य एतावन्तश्च भूयागुंसश्च दिशो रुद्रावितस्तिरे तेषागुं सहस्रयोजने वधन्वानि तन्मसि नमो रुद्रेभ्यो ये पृथिव्यां येऽन्तरिक्षे ये दिवि येषामन्नं वातो वर्षविषवस्तेभ्यो दश प्राचीर्दश दक्षिणा दश प्रतीचीर्दशोदीचीर्दशोद्वास्तेभ्यो नमस्ते नो मृडयन्तु ते निष्मो यश्च नो द्वेष्टितं वोजं मे ददामि त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् यो रुद्रो अग्नौ यो अप्सु य ओषधीषु यो रुद्रो विश्वामुवना विवेश तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु एते सहस्रवयुतं पाशा मृत्योर्मर्त्याय हन्तवे तान् यज्ञस्य मायया सर्वानवयजामहे मृत्यवे स्वाहा मृत्यवे स्वाहा प्राणानां ग्रन्थिरसि रुद्रो भाविशान्तकः तेनान्येनाप्यायस्व नमो रुद्राय विष्णवे मृत्युवे पाहि तवस्तु यस्वशुसुदन्वायो विश्वस्य क्षयति वे सजस्य यक्ष्वा महेशौ मनसाय रुद्रं नमो देववसुरं दुवस्य अयं मे हस्तो भगवान् अयं मे भगवत्तरः अयं मे विश्वभेशयो यगुं शिवाभिवर्षणः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अग्नाविष्टो सजोषसे वा वर्धन्तु वाङ्गिरः दुम्नैर्वाजेभिरागतं वाजश्च मे प्रसवश्च मे प्रयतिश्च मे प्रसितिश्च मे धीतिश्च मे क्रतुश्च मे स्वरश्च मे श्लोकश्च मे श्रावश्च मे श्रुतिश्च मे ज्योतिश्च मे सुवश्च मे प्राणश्च मे पानश्च मे व्यानश्च मे स्वश्च मे चित्तं च आदेतं च मे वाक् च मे मनश्च मे चक्षुश्च मे श्रोत्रं च मे दक्षश्च मे बलं च ओजश्च मे सहश्च म आयुश्च मे जरा च म आत्मा च मे तनोश्च मे शर्म च मे वर्म च मे ज्ञानि च मे स्थानि च मे परोगुंसि च मे शरीराणि च मे जैष्ठ्यं च म आदिमत्यं च मे मन्युश्च मे भामश्च मे मश्च मे मश्च मे जेमा च मे महिमा च मे गरिमा च मे प्रतिमा च मे भस्मा च मे द्रागुया च मे वृद्धं च मे वृद्धिश्च मे सत्यं च मे श्रद्धा च मे जगच्च मे धनं च मे वसश्च मे त्वषश्च मे क्रीडा च मे मोदश्च मे जातं च मे जनिष्यमानं च मे सोक्तं च मे सुकृतं च मे वित्तं च मे वेद्यं च मे भूतं च मे भविष्यच्च मे सुगं च मे सुमतं च मरुद्धं च मरुद्धिश्च मे क्लुप्तं च मे क्लुप्तिश्च मे मतिश्च मे सुमतिश्च मे शं च मे मयश्च मे प्रियं च मे कामश्च मे कामश्च मे सौमनसश्च मे भद्रं च मे श्रेयश्च मे वस्यश्च मे यशश्च मे भगश्च मे द्रविणं च मे यन्ता च मे धर्ता च मे क्षेमश्च मे धृतिश्च मे विश्वं च मे महश्च मे संविच्च मे ज्ञात्रं च मे सोश्च मे प्रसोश्च मे क्षीरं च मे लयश्च मरुतं च मे मृतं च मे यक्ष्मं च मे नामयच्च मे जीवातुश्च मे दीर्घायुत्वं च मे नमित्रं च मे भयं च मे सुगं च मे शयनं च मे शोषा च मे सुदिनं च मे ऊर्च मे सोनृता च मे पयश्च मे रसश्च मे घृतं च मे मधु च मे शक्तिश्च मे सवेतिश्च मे कृशिश्च मे वृष्टिश्च मे जैत्रं च औन्नित्यं च मे रयिश्च मे रायश्च मे पुष्टं च मे पुष्टिश्च मे विभु च मे प्रभु च मे मौ च मे भूयश्च मे पूर्णं च मे पूर्णतरं च मे क्षितिश्च मे कौयवाश्च मे नं च मे सुच्च मे प्रेयश्च मे यवाश्च मे माशाश्च मे तिलाश्च मे मुक्ताश्च मे कल्वाश्च मे गोधूमाश्च मे मसुराश्च मे प्रियङ्गवश्च मे नवश्च मे श्यामाकाश्च मे नैवाराश्च मे अस्मा च मे मृत्तिका च मे गिरयश्च मे पर्वताश्च मे सिकताश्च मे वनस्पतयश्च मे हिरण्यं च मे यश्च मे शेषं च मे त्रवश्च मे श्यामं च मे लोहं च मे अग्निश्च म आवश्च मे मेरुधश्च म औषधयश्च मे कृष्णवच्यं च मे कृष्णवच्यं च मे ग्राम्याश्च मे पशव आरण्याश्च यज्ञेन कल्पन्ताम् वित्तं च मे वित्तिश्च मे भूतं च मे भूतिश्च मे वसु च मे वसतिश्च मे कर्म च मे शक्तिश्च मे अर्थश्च हेमश्च महितिश्च मे गतिश्च मे अग्निश्च इन्द्रश्च मे सोमश्च इन्द्रश्च मे सविता च इन्द्रश्च मे सरस्वती च इन्द्रश्च मे पूषा च इन्द्रश्च मे बृहस्पतिश्च इन्द्रश्च मे मित्रश्च इन्द्रश्च मे वरुणश्च इन्द्रश्च मे त्वष्टा च इन्द्रश्च मे धाता च इन्द्रश्च मे विष्णुश्च इन्द्रश्च मे श्रिणौ च इन्द्रश्च मे मरुतश्च इन्द्रश्च मे विश्वे च मे देवा इन्द्रश्च मे पृथिवी च इन्द्रश्च मे अन्तरिक्षं च इन्द्रश्च मे द्यौश्च इन्द्रश्च मे दिशश्च इन्द्रश्च मे मूर्धा च इन्द्रश्च मे प्रजापतिश्च इन्द्रश्च मे अगुंसुश्च मे रश्मिश्च मे दाभ्यश्च मे देवतिश्च उपागुंसुश्च मे अन्तर्यामश्च ऐन्द्रवायवश्च मे मैत्रावरुणश्च आश्विनश्च मे प्रतिप्रस्थानश्च मे शुक्रश्च मे मन्थे च आग्रयणश्च मे वैश्वदेवश्च मे ध्रुवश्च मे वैश्वानरश्च मरुतो ग्रहाश्च मेति ग्राह्याश्च ऐन्द्राग्नश्च मे वैश्वदेवश्च मे मरुत्पतीयाश्च मे माहेन्द्रश्च आदित्यश्च मे सावित्रश्च मे सारस्वतश्च मे पौष्णश्च मे पार्थिवतश्च मे आयोजनश्च मे इन्द्रश्च मे बर्हिश्च मे वेदिश्च मे दृष्णयाश्च मे शुचश्च मे चमसाश्च मे ग्रावाणश्च मे स्वरवश्च उमरवाश्च मे दिशवणे च मे द्रोणकलशश्च मे वायव्यानि च मे पोतवृश्च आधवणीयश्च आग्नेयं च मे हविर्धानं च मे ग्रहाश्च मे सदश्च मे पुरोडाशाश्च मे पचताश्च मे अवृतश्च मे स्वगाकारश्च मे अग्निश्च मे घर्मश्च मेर्कश्च मे सूर्यश्च मे प्राणश्च मे श्वमेधश्च मे पृथिवी च मे दितिश्च मे दितिश्च मे न्योश्च मे शक्वरेरङ्गुलयो दिशश्च मे यज्ञेन कल्पन्तामृच्च मे साम च मे स्तोमश्च मे यजुश्च मे दीक्षा च मे तपश्च मरुतश्च मे व्रतं च मे होरात्रयोर्वृष्ट्या बृहत्तदन्तरे च मे यज्ञेन कल्पेताम् गर्भाश्च मे वत्साश्च मे त्रयविश्च मे त्रयवे च मे दित्यवाच्च मे दित्यौहे च मे पञ्चाविश्च मे पञ्चावे च मे त्रिवत्सश्च मे त्रिवत्सा च मे तुर्यवाच्च मे तुर्यौहे च मे पष्ठवाच्च मे पष्ठौहे च मोक्षा च मे वशा च मरुषवश्च मे हेहञ्च मे हन्वाञ्च मे धेनुश्च आयुर्यज्ञेन कल्पताम् प्राणो यज्ञेन कल्पताम् पानो यज्ञेन कल्पताम् ज्ञानो यज्ञेन कल्पताम् चक्षुर्यज्ञेन कल्पताम् श्रोत्रं यज्ञेन कल्पताम् मनो यज्ञेन कल्पताम् वाक् यज्ञेन कल्पताम् आत्मा यज्ञेन कल्पताम् यज्ञो यज्ञेन कल्पताम् एका च मे तिस्रश्च मे पञ्च च मे सप्त च मे नव च मे एकादश च मे त्रयोदश च मे पञ्चदश च मे सप्तदश च मे नवदश च मे एकविंशतिश्च मे त्रयोविंशतिश्च मे पञ्चविंशतिश्च मे सप्तविंशतिश्च मे नवविंशतिश्च मे एकत्रिंशच्च मे त्रयस्त्रिंशच्च मे चतुस्रश्च मे अष्टौ च मे द्वादश च मे षोडश च मे विंशतिश्च मे चतुर्विंशतिश्च मे अष्टाविंशतिश्च मे द्वात्रिंशच्च मे षट्त्रिंशच्च मे चत्वारिंशच्च मे चतुश्चत्वारिंशच्च मे चत्वारिंशच्च मे वाजश्च प्रसवश्च निजश्च क्रतुश्च सुवश्च मूर्धा च व्यष्टयश्चान्त्ययनश्चान्त्यश्च वनश्च भुवनश्चाधिपतिश्च इडादे बहुर्मनुर्यज्ञने बृहस्पतिरुक्ता मदानि सगुं विश्वे देवासो ओर्तवाच पृथिवीमातर्माहि गुंसि मधुमनिष्ये मधुजनिष्ये मधुवक्ष्यामि मधुवदिष्यामि मधुमति देवेभ्यो वाचमुद्यासगुं शुश्रूषेण्या मनुष्ये व्यस्तं मा देव अवन्तु शोभाय पितरो न वदन्तु शान्ति 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 अत्रिणात्वा कृमे हन्मि कण्वेन जमदग्निना विष्टावसो ब्रह्मणा हतः कृमीनागुं राजा अप्येषा गुस्तमतिर्हतः अतो माता तो पिता अतो स्थूला अतो क्षुद्रा अतो कृष्णा अतो श्वेता अतो आशातिका हता श्वेता सह सर्वे हता आहरवन्द्या श्रुतस्य विशो यथा तत्सत्यम् यदमुह्यमस्य जम्भयो आददामि तथा हि तत् खन्फन्मसि ॐ शान्ति 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 ॐ योपां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा अपां पुष्पं पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति अग्निर्वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो अग्निरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वा अग्निरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति वायुर्वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो वायोरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै वायोरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति असौ वै तमन्नपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो मुष्यतमत आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वा अमुष्यतमत आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यश्चन्द्रमस आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै चन्द्रमस आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति नक्षत्राणि वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो नक्षत्राणामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै नक्षत्राणामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति पर्जन्यो वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः पर्जन्यस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै पर्जन्यस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति संवत्सरो वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः संवत्सरस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै संवत्सरस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योऽप्सुनावं प्रतिष्ठितां वेद प्रत्येव तिष्ठति राजाधिराजाय प्रसय्यसायिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामान् कामकामाय मह्यम् कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः पुरुषस्य विद्मसहस्राक्षस्य महादेवस्य धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे चक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो नन्दिः प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महासेनाय धीमहि तन्नः षण्मुखः प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे सुवर्णमक्षाय धीमहि तन्नो गरुड प्रचोदयात् वेदात्मनाय विद्महे हिरण्यगर्भाय धीमहि तन्नो ब्रह्म प्रचोदयात् नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् वज्रनखाय विद्महे तीक्ष्णदग्गुष्ट्राय धीमहि तन्नो नारसिंह प्रचोदयात् भास्कराय विद्महे महत्कृतिकराय धीमहि तन्नो आदित्य प्रचोदयात् वैश्वानराय विद्महे लालीलाय धीमहि तन्नो अग्निः प्रचोदयात् कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गे प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् सहस्रपरमा देवी शतमूला शताङ्कुरा सर्वगुं हरतु मे पामं गौर्वादुःस्वप्ननाशनी काण्डात् काण्डात् प्ररोहन्ति परुषः परुषः परे एवानो दूर्वे प्रतनुसहस्रेण शतेन च या शतेन प्रतनोषि सहस्रेण विरोहसि तस्यास्ते देवीष्टके विदेम हविषा वयम् अश्वक्रान्ते रथक्रान्ते विष्णुक्रान्ते वसुन्धरा शिरसा धारयिष्यामि रक्षस्व मां पदे पदे स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण मयि महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
जय 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 हे गजानना
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 गजानना हे गजवदना
गजानना हे गजवदना
गजानना हे गजवदना
गजानना हे गजवदना
जय 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 हे गजानना
जय 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 हे गजानना
पार्वती नंदन नंदन गजानना
पार्वती नंदन गजानना
पार्वती नंदन गजानना
पार्वती नंदन गजानना
पशुपति तनया गजानना
पशुपति तनया गजानना
पशुपति तनया गजानना
पशुपति तनया गजानना
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना
आदिपूज्य देव गजानना
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना
आदिपूज्य देव गजानना
जय 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 हे गजानना
जय 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 हे गजानना
गजानना हे गजवदना
गजानना हे गजवदना
जय 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 हे गजानना
जय 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 हे गजानना
पार्वती नंदन गजानना
पार्वती नंदन गजानना
पशुपति तनया गजानना
पशुपति तनया गजानना
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना
आदिपूज्य देव गजानना
आदि पूज्य देव गजानना
आदिपूज्य देव गजानना
जय 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 हे गजानना दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
तन मन धन सब चरण तुम्हारे
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 दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
आदि अनंता हरि अविनाशी
आदि अनंता हरि अविनाशी
आदि अनंता हरि अविनाशी
आदि अनंता हरि अविनाशी
सदा निरंतर घट घट वासी
सदा
कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान तन मन धन सब चरण तुम्हारे
तन मन धन सब चरण तुम्हारे
दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान आदि अनंता हरि अविनाशी
हरि अनंता हरि अविनाशी
सदा निरंतर घट घट वासी
सदा निरंतर घट घट वासी
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा कृपाला
दीन दयाला सदा
दीन
कृपाला
दयाला सदा कृपाला
दया करो हे दयानिधे हे भगवान
आओ आओ नंदलाला आओ आओ नंदलाला आओ आओ नंदलाला आओ आओ नंदलाला सुंदर श्याम गोपाला सुंदर श्याम गोपाला सुंदर साई गोपाला सुंदर साई गोपाला आओ आओ नंदलाला आओ आओ नंदलाला तुम ही हो बंसी धारी श्यामा 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 अयोध्यापति सीतारामा अयोध्यापति सीतारामा अयोध्यापति सीतारामा अयोध्यापति सीतारामा भक्ति बाबा करुणा निधान भक्ति बाबा करुणा निधान भक्ति बाबा करुणा निधान भक्ति बाबा करुणा निधान मखन चोरा यशोद बाला मखन चोरा यशोद बाला मखन चोरा यशोद बाला मखन चोरा यशोद बाला आओ आओ नंदलाला आओ सदा शिव चन्द्रकलाधर साम्ब सदा शिव चन्द्रकलाधर साम्ब सदा शिव चन्द्रकलाधर साम्ब सदा शिव शम्भो महादेवा 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 शिव शम्भो महादेवा शिव शम्भो महादेवा शिव शम्भो महादेवा शिव शम्भो महादेवा रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम
सबको सन्मति दो भगवान रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम भज प्यारे मन सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम भज प्यारे मन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीताराम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीताराम भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो भजो श्याम साई घनश्याम, 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 भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम, कलियुग के अवतार, कलियुग के अवतार, कलियुग के अवतार, कलियुग के अवतार, जगदोद्धारा साई भगवान, जगदोद्धारा साई भगवान, जगदोद्धारा साई भगवान, जगदोद्धारा साई भगवान, पतित पावन सीताराम, पतित पावन सीताराम, पतित पावन सीताराम, पतित पावन सीताराम, पतित पावन साई राम, पतित पावन साई राम, हे पतित पावन साई राम, हे पतित पावन साई राम, भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो भजो श्याम साई घनश्याम, भजो भजो श्याम साई घनश्याम, भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम, भजो राम सत्य साई राम, कलियुग के अवतार, कलियुग के अवतार, जगदोद्धारा साई भगवान, जगदोद्धारा साई भगवान, पतित पावन सीताराम, पतित पावन सीताराम, पतित पावन साई राम, पतित पावन साई राम, हे पतित पावन साई राम, हे पतित पावन साई राम, भजो भजो राम सत्य साई राम।
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
मंगलकारिणी जय साई माँ,
जय साई माँ, जय साई माँ,
जय साई माँ, जय साई माँ,
जय साई माँ, शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 नमः
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमो हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमो हराय नमो
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमो हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिव 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 शिवाय नमो
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमो हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
शिवाय नमः हराय नमः
शिवाय नमो हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
हर 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 हराय नमः
हर 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 हराय नमो
शिव 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 शिवाय नमः
शिरडी की साई परती के बाबा
शिरडी की साई परती के बाबा
शिरडी के साई परती के बाबा
शिरडी की साई परती के बाबा
तुम हो हमारे प्यारे साईं बाबा
हो हमारे प्यारे साईं बाबा
तुम हो हमारे प्यारे साईं बाबा
हो हमारे प्यारे साईं बाबा
शिरडी के साई परती के बाबा
शिरडी की साई परती के बाबा
प्रेममय साई प्रेम प्रदाता
प्रेममया साई प्रेम प्रदाता
प्रेममय साई जगत परिपाला ईश्वरामनंदन जगत परिपाला पाप विनाशक परम कृपाला पाप विनाशक परम कृपाला शिरडी के साई परती के बाबा तुम हो हमारे प्यारे साई बाबा शिरडी के साई परती के बाबा प्रेममया साई प्रेम प्रदाता ईश्वरामनंदन जगत परिपाला पाप विनाशक मन मंदिर में आओ साई साई भगवान दर्श दिखाओ साई भगवान दर्श दिखाओ सदा निरंतर भज साई राम सदा निरंतर भज साई गिरिधर नागर नटवर गिरिधर नागर नटवर साई भगवान दर्श दिखाओ साई भगवान दर्श दिखाओ मन मंदिर में आओ साई साई भगवान दर्श दिखाओ सदा निरंतर भज साई गिरिधर नागर नटवर साई भगवान दर्श दिखाओ साई भगवान भगवान दर्श दिखाओ।
साईं भगवान दर्श दिखाओ।
मन मंदिर में आओ साईं। साई है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
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 साई मेरा जीवन सहारा।
साई मेरा जीवन सहारा।
साई मेरा जीवन सहारा।
साई मेरा जीवन सहारा।
साई है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
साई है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
तेरे बिना साई सब है अंधेरा।
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 पार करो मेरी जीवन नैया।
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 चरण लगा लो मुझे साई कन्हैया।
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 साई है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
साई मेरा जीवन सहारा।
साई मेरा जीवन सहारा।
साई है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
तेरे बिना साई सब है अंधेरा।
तेरे बिना साई सब है अंधेरा।
पार करो मेरी जीवन नैया।
पार करो मेरी जीवन नैया।
चरण लगा लो मुझे साई कन्हैया।
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 साई है जीवन, जीवन सत्य साई।
भव भयहरणा वन्दित चरणा। भव
भयहरणा वन्दित चरणा।
भव भयहरणा वन्दित चरणा।
भव भयहरणा वन्दित चरणा।
जय नाद जय माधव गौरी
जय राध जय माधव गौरी।
जय राध जय माधव गौरी।
जय राध जय माधव गौरी।
मंगल चरण चलिमल दहना।
मंगल
सहना नारायण केशवा नारायण केशवा जय माधव जय राधा जय माधव भव भय हरण पंडित भव भय हरण पंडित चरण भव भय हरण मंगल चरण जय राधा जय माधव चौरे जय राधा जय
Om Shri Sai Ram. Reverential pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. On behalf of the Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organizations, Tamil Nadu, Chennai Metro West, it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming my dear Sai brothers and sisters for yet another divine Satsangh. Without much ado, let's welcome our speakers for today, Shri Pavan Kumar and Shri Amitabh Das Gupta, alumni of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. A very warm and loving Sairam to dear brothers Pavan and Amitabh. First, let us get to know about brother Pavan Kumar. He joined the Sri Sathya Sai Higher Secondary School during 1992 and later obtained his Bachelor's of Commerce Honours from the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Brindavan Campus, Whitefield in the year 1994 to 97. Later, he pursued his MBA Finance from Jawaharlal Technological University Campus from Hyderabad from 1999 to 2001. Brother Pavan moved to Mumbai in 2002 and worked in HSBC Treasury for 5 years. He moved to Singapore later and stayed there from 2008 until July 2020 recently. During his stay in Singapore for around 10 years, he worked in Deutsche Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, Malaysia and Singapore as Assistant Vice President for Private Wealth Management. Currently, he is a Senior Consultant in Sinpulse India Company at Bangalore. His hobbies are playing cricket and tennis. He has been an active Sri Sathya Sai alumni coordinator, participating in voluntary service activities conducted by the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization, Singapore. Coming to brother Amitabh, fondly known as Dasta in the student community, he came into Swami's divine fold since his birth in a Sai family. He spent 23 years learning valuable lessons and experienced the divine love of Mother Sai. He is among the few chosen upon whom Swami has physically showered immense love. Brother Amitabh joined the Sathya Sai Primary School at Prashanthi Nilayam in 1982 and completed his grade 12 in 1994. He joined the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Brindavan campus and graduated in science in the year 1997. Finally, he completed his MBA at Prashanthi Nilayam in 1999. He is immensely talented in sports and was the university sports all-rounder champion for nearly 4-5 times and has received numerous trophies from the very divine hands of Swami. Under the direct instructions of Bhagwan, Brother Amitabh worked in the Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust till 2005, and during this tenure, he was instrumental in setting up the shopping complex at Prashanti Nilayam. What Swami usually calls it as Maya Bazaar. Since 2005, Brother Dasta traveled and worked in many countries, including India, the United States, and Europe. He is also a transformational coach wherein he has one-to-one conversation with people, helping them to have positive impacts in their life. Calling Melbourne his home since 2010, Brother Amitabh currently works as director at KPMG, Australia. Let us all now enjoy the double dhamaka with the Sai brothers sharing their thoughts on the topic recollection, reflection, and resolution. So over to you, Brother Amitabh and Pranav. Sai Ram.
Saram, everyone. At the outset, we pray that the message is His. He speaks through us and He listens through all of you. I'm going to take that introduction with a pinch of salt, and really humbled to really be here. Respected Mr. Suresh Chandra, the district president, and all the devotees who are in Tamil Nadu, Chennai, and also across the world, Sairam and Vanakkam. Before we start off, just want to share a very, very powerful message of Bhagwan, which I came across recently in Sathya Sai Speaks. Swami says, keep undimmed before you the main goal, the task for which you have come into this school. Do not deviate from it, whatever the attraction that tempts you to stray. Command the mind and regulate your conduct so that the goal is won. Don't let the care of the body or the fostering of the family or the demands of pride and pomp overwhelm the call of the spirit for self-expression. The world has to be utilized by the individual to attain Shiva. Until you get that Atmic bliss by realizing Shiva, the world will press on with you with its weight and will nigh suffocate you. After that, the world will fall off by itself. So these powerful words really touched me a lot and gives me a perspective of the introduction, Mr. Ramaswamy sir, of what you have given, and the main purpose of what Swami has told all of us and why we have come into this school. Regarding experiences with Bhagwan, I remember once in 1994, I was in grade 12 and Swami was in the portico. He had just finished the interviews and he came and he asked a couple of boys to speak. There was a 10th standard boy who spoke in Sanskrit. There was many other boys who spoke in Telugu and Hindi and English, and there were applauses and everyone was enjoying. And then I was trying to avoid Swami so that he doesn't pick me up. And I was hiding behind the boy in front of me. And suddenly my eyes met Swami's eyes. And Swami said, just an indication, you speak next. And immediately I said, I gave an indication. I said, no, Swami, I can't speak. And that day, all the speeches got over and I was so happy and jubilant that Swami was so compassionate that he didn't pull me up in front of everyone. And next day, we were around Swami in the interview room, 3 or 4 of us. And Brother Pavan was also there. And Swami suddenly asked, "Kyun baat nahi kiya kal?" And I said, Swami, I'm not a good speaker. And Swami bahut stammer karta hai. I used to stutter a lot. And Swami, I stammer a lot. And Swami said, that's all mentally created fear. And he just brushed it aside. And I was so jubilant and so satisfied and happy that I would never ever get a chance to speak in front of Swami. And I was so grateful for that because I didn't want to speak at all. And after the Mahasamadhi, when I was in Australia, the devotees were clamoring for students, especially to share their experiences. And I kept asking myself, I've been there 23 years, but I'm not sure whether I've really got any experience, right? And I'm not a speaker. And then someone told me that nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning we give it. And I realized when I was there physically with Bhagwan, we never gave it that much meaning till we came out, and then we really looked at it and said, oh my God, every sentence he said, when I turn my pages of my diary, it gives us so meaning, it gives us so much of perspective. That's when I said, okay, maybe, yeah, these are fantastic experiences. And I was asked to speak in the center, and there was one particular incident I wanted to speak, but I wasn't sure whether that is really an experience. My mind was telling me, I'm not sure whether it's an experience. You know, people will make fun of you. You should not tell. And I really prayed to Swami, should I share it or not? Give me a sign, Swami. And suddenly the garland broke from Swami's photo. And I went and shared this experience. And I'm going to actually come to that. And then I started speaking and I started enjoying sharing some of Swami's experiences. And I told my wife, who was not from a Sai background before our marriage, and I told her, I refused Swami. Can you believe it? Right? And Swami is so compassionate that he just forgave me. And how can I refuse the Lord of the universe when he asked me to do anything? And my wife said, don't worry, Swami will give you a second chance. And this was after Samadhi. And I said, Swami is gone, right? What do you mean I'll get a second chance? And she said, that's the problem with you boys. You are so close to him. And you are always around that physical aspect. And you don't understand the power who he is. And don't worry, Swami will surely give you. And even though she wasn't from Sai background now, she's got more devotion and more faith towards Bhagwan than me. And I left it there. In December 2013, we were in Puttaparthi. 31st December, we were going for dinner, and suddenly my brother gets a call. My Australian number is not working in India, and he gets a call and he says, hey, is your brother Amitabh with you? And my mom and my brother said yes. And he said, hey, can you speak in Sai Kulwant Hall tomorrow morning? And my brother asked me, hey, can you speak in Sai Kulwant Hall tomorrow morning at 8:30? And I said, and I was just numb. It was a deja vu. And my wife was there, and immediately my wife said, this is your second chance. This is your second chance. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I have no idea when I'm going to speak. She said, just say yes. And I said yes. And the guy said, okay, come and meet us at 9:30 in the double-decker shed. And I went there. I didn't have my dinner. And I said, what happened? He said, we don't know, brother. Someone by mistake passed on a chit that an alumni will be speaking on the 1st of January. Before that, the 1st of January morning, alumni never spoke. Right? Someone passed a chit and we announced it and we want a speaker. And I said, guys, I'm not a speaker. I've never spoken in front of Swami. Right? I'm an unknown commodity. Right? There are 20, 30 speakers here who have spoken in front of Swami. They are great and you're just taking a massive risk. They said, no, brother, I think Swami wants you to speak. And on 1st of January 2014, I spoke in Sai Kulwant Hall, and I narrated that exact incident which happened 20 years earlier in 1994, 1st of January, and exactly at the same time, 8:30. And what are the chances? What are the chances, right? So the story was, one day I was face to face with Bhagwan in the interview room all alone. And suddenly Swami said, "Hey, why are you talking so much?" And he said, "See, this boy Pavan, he has stopped talking. There was another brother there. He has also stopped talking. Only you are talking." And I said, "No, Swami, I also stopped." Swami said, "No, no, no." And Swami pointed out exactly in the room where I talked with whom, and he just gave the full flashback. Then I said, "Swami, I'll try. I'll try to stop talking." And Swami grew wild and he said, "Try, try, try, you will go dry." For Swami, it was like, you can never use the word try. It was, you have to do it. And I said, "Yes, Swami, I'll do it." And I told myself, and I was a very, very talkative boy, and I said, "Can I really manage this?" For the first few days, I struggled to keep quiet. And then I took a picture of Swami and said, "Swami, I'm not sure I will really pass this test." But I prayed to Swami and said, "Swami, okay, if I really do this with full sincerity for 2 weeks, what will be the prize I'll get in the end? The reward mechanism." And I said, it should not be Swami creating vibhuti or Swami taking a letter or Swami smiling, or it should not just be the regular thing. It should be something which is impossible to happen. Impossible. And suddenly it came to my mind, maybe, Swami, you should give me a ride in your car. And I never told this to anyone. Okay, it was just me and Swami. And I said, "Swami, you should give me a ride in your car." And I started practicing the sadhana of keeping silence. And Swami specifically mentioned it for us here. And he used to say that, you have to conserve your energy. You are speaking with, you're going to go for a board exam. And all the sages used to not talk. And they used to keep quiet. And finally, I started doing it. I started enjoying it. And I forgot about the deal what I had with the picture of Swami. And there was a student who was sick in the hospital, and he wanted to have Swami's darshan desperately on the new year. And Swami used to call us almost every evening for an interview. And Swami used to ask about this boy, "Hey, how is he doing? What is Dr. Alreja saying?" And I was saying, "Swami, he wants to have your darshan on the new year." And on 1st of January 1994, after the program, the morning program, suddenly Swami called me and Swami said, "Go to the general hospital, tell that boy that I am going to visit him and see him in the hospital." The boy who was sick, who couldn't come to the mandir. And I sprinted to the general hospital and I went and told, "Swami is coming, get ready." The boy's mother was there. I went and told, and then Swami came. Swami went and met the boy. Then he went and met another girl who was there, a little girl who was there in another ward. And then Swami really looked at me and said, "Follow me." And Swami went into the maternity ward, and usually males don't go into the maternity ward, and they were expectant mothers, and they was full of joy and jubilation that they saw Swami, and I was following Swami, and then we got down the stairs with Swami, and as soon as we went out, Swami's car door opened, and Swami asked VK Narasimhan sir, "Get inside." And VK Narasimhan sir got inside, and then suddenly he looked at me and he said, "You get inside." And I'm like, "What? Did I hear it right?" Swami said, "No, you get inside." And everyone said, "You get inside." And then VK Narasimhan sir was first, and another boy was there behind, and me, and with Swami in the car. I think it was a silver Benz. And then Swami said, "Okay, where do you want to go?" and we were like, "Swami, wherever you want." And Swami said, "Okay, I'll take you to the super specialty hospital." And we went to the super specialty hospital. It was from the general hospital. And then Swami, like a friend, he started showing Puttaparthi was like this so many years ago. Now it has become so much. See the development there. If he used to see any devotee, he used to say, "Slow the car down." Okay. And Swami used to give the background of that particular devotee. When did he come, and his family. And again, it's to go. And it was a beautiful ride. And we went to the super specialty hospital. And Swami said, "See, the gates are closed. No one wants me to come inside." And Swami said, "Let's take a turn." and we turn back, and then Swami drops us in front of the hostel, and we sort of come out, and we are like shell shocked. All the students are really looking at us. Who are these two boys, young boys, coming out of Swami's car? And and like we were so excited. Then in the evening, when we sort of went for darshan, Swami was very excited. Swami called us inside the interview room, and Swami said, what are the boys saying? Which boy told what about you sat in Swami's car?" And it was so subtle. He never mentioned to me that, okay, I listened to your prayers and you succeeded in not talking, right? You maintained monam for 15 days and that's why you got reward. He never told you that. It was so subtle that only your heart and his heart knew it, and no one actually knew it. And the brother who was in the hospital, whom Swami went to visit, we are very lucky that he was none other than Brother Pavan. And I will shift the spotlight to him to really tell us his side of the story. What was his pining like, and how did it? Because I know that, Pavan, you came to Swami, you never knew Swami 2 years before, and you just came to know Swami in your 11th standard. And how did that pining happen, and what was your story that you called Swami to the hospital to just see you?
Ram, thank you. Most humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. The humble, the humility, I submit myself to Swami. Okay, so let's continue this conversation. Let's recollect, let's reflect, and let's see what we can take a resolution out of this complete story. Yes, 1994, January 1st. So before that, 30th December 1993, I started having a lot of blood motions, and I was not able to go for darshan. And that time, Swami was giving us a lot of chances. Every day, Swami was calling us for interview. And I was deeply missing, why has this happening to me? And one day, 29th of December, Swami called us for interview, and Swami asked me, please call your parents for interview. I want to give interview for your parents, please call them. So he asked me from which place they have to come. I said, Swami, from Hyderabad. Is it overnight journey? I said, yes, Swami, it's from overnight journey. Okay, so you tell them, I will call them for interview. So you tell them to come to Puttaparthi. I said, okay. I telephoned my parents. I told them, Swami is calling for interview. So as soon as possible, you please come to Puttaparthi so that we'll all have a family interview with Swami. They said, okay, fine. So that my conversation with my parents was on 30th of December. So I was expecting they will start on 31st and they'll reach on 1st January. But 30th onwards, I started developing the blood motions. I could not go for evening darshan. And 31st was completely in hospital. I had no clue what was happening. And I could not go for morning darshan. I could not go for evening darshan. Completely, I was sick. And my teacher said, no, you cannot be in hostel. We have to shift you to the general hospital. So I was admitted in general hospital. Then I was literally praying what sin I have done to start my new year in hospital. I was thinking, because I had a psychological feeling what you start on 1st January will continue to be the full of the year. So it was something like I thought, I said, Swami, okay, fine. I'm okay to be in hospital, but I want to start the day with you. That was my only prayer. So I want you to be coming and seeing me. Give me some kind of a darshan on 1st January. At least I don't want to start my new year in hospital directly. And my parents have come on 1st morning, started from Hyderabad on 31st. They came to 1st morning and they went to hostel to see me. And the hostel, they said, no, sorry, Pavan is in hospital. And my parents were alarmed. They said, I think my son has called us for interview with Swami. And you are telling my son is in hospital. So they were shell shocked because I did not get time to call them and say that I'm having this kind of a problems. and they came running to General Hospital, and I was sitting in the, I was lying on the bed in the ward, and then I just told them that this is what has happened for past 2 days, and suddenly I see Amitabh Das Gupta coming, running into the General Hospital and saying that Swami is coming. Swami has asked for you today morning, and Swami said he's going to come and see you immediately. And I didn't know how to react, and my parents were there with me in the room. Then Swami came. Swami came slowly to my room, and Swami asked, what happened? I said, Swami, I'm having a lot of motions and everything. I said, okay, don't worry, I'll take care. Then Swami asked, what did you have? I said, Swami, nothing. They said, what do you say, nothing? And he showed me to the saline bottle. He said, it is almost energy of a 6 apple juice. So you had a complete apple juice. Then he created a vibhuti for me, and he rubbed on my chest, and then everything. Then I told Swami my parents have come. Then Swami was trying to make me jovial. So Swami asked, did they get the girl? I wanted to marry you with that girl. I asked them to get it. Did you get? I said, Swami, I don't know anything about that. He said, okay, fine. So I'll give interview. So don't worry. So then, get well soon and then take rest. Then after Swami blessed me, then Swami went into the next room opposite to my room. There's a little girl. So the story of that girl is like that girl was not having medicine, and she was not at all sleeping that night. I'm talking about 31st night. So mother casually told, if you drink medicine and if you think of Swami, Swami will come and see you. This was a sincere prayer. She told, you pray and then Swami will come and see you. And lo and behold, if you can see, Swami has finished blessing me. Swami has gone into that girl's room, and Swami blessed the little girl. And then Swami came out of the General Hospital. Swami took Amitabh Das Gupta in car. Now, what does this mean? Please understand very clearly. Connecting the dots is so important. We cannot see with our own eyes. And myself and Das Gupta have reconciled this incident after 20 years. Maybe after 25 years, we reconcile this incident. That every step of Swami is not taken for granted. Swami has a literal meaning. I had a sincere prayer that I don't want to start my 1st of January in hospital. And Amitabh Das Gupta had a deal with Swami that 15 days I'll be on Maunam, and Swami, you have to take me in a car. And little girl who was not drinking her medicine, and she prayed very sincerely. Now, if you analyze this, it's very, very clear and apt. Though it might show very, very casual that Swami had started from Mandir, Swami came in a car, Swami saw Pavan, Swami saw a little girl, Swami took Amitabh Das Gupta. That is a normal sequence. But if you try to put it in a connecting the dots, every person had their own experience of that Swami's one small journey of that morning's incident. So this is an eye-opener for us that we always take Swami's darshan for granted, but it's not that. Swami had a literal meaning for each and every movement, each and every word, each and every action. It is only that we have to reflect upon it. Why did Swami say this to us? Why not this? Why did Swami say this to that person? There is a reflection is there. And every reflection has experience, and every experience will lead to a resolution, what you need to do. So for me was a sincere prayer where Swami will always bless for that. So with this, I reflect back to Das Gupta.
Thanks, Pawan. And I think I have this quote which sort of resounds when you just mentioned this. The quality of your life is exactly proportional to the quality of the stories you tell yourself. And when this really happened, at least for 10, 15 years, we just didn't really think of it as an experience. We were naive and we didn't understand Swami. And it was like we had the frogs on the well. And now if you really reflect back, it's just massive. And it just enriches the meaning of your life when you give when you give the meaning and weight to it. I just wanted to take it back since you talked about hospital. I remember once one evening, Swami had called me, and some of you boys, I think Pavan, you were late or you were still coming, yourself and a couple of other brothers. Then I went and called you all, and then Swami took you in, and I actually didn't get inside the interview room, and I was standing. I actually thought, okay, maybe it was only for you. And then Swami came and told, oh, where were you? Why didn't you come in? And I think even in the interview room, he asked about, oh, why is this boy actually sitting outside and not inside? And since it is related to the hospital thing, can you share what happened in that interview room? Because you told me later it was really shows the compassion of Swami towards everyone.
Yes, Gupta, I remember very clearly. That evening we had a very emotional, I should say, and sentimental, and it was very heartbreaking to see Swami in that shape and form. So that day, what happened? Swami was in Purnachandra. So Swami coming from darshan from Purnachandra, and then Swami went to the Jain side, and there was a small little boy who was in a wheelchair, and Swami spent quite a number of I should say some time near that little boy, and then he came instead of coming through the to the Ganesha side. At that time, Ganesha, where now Samadhi is there, he came through the middle portico. So all the middle portico boys were able to see that Swami has blessed that boy with the vibhuti and came straight inside the middle portico, and then he straight went into the interview room. And before going to interview room, obviously he called us, right? And that is where I think you missed out and we were there. So, and we went inside, and Swami sat in the interview room, and Swami did not speak. And Swami was like holding his, the left palm, and he was, like this. And we were, it's almost for, 10, 15 minutes. And we were just, Swami was like this, there's no talk, nothing. So generally Swami goes in trance. So we are thinking Swami is going in trance and might be, something like that. Then after 15 minutes, Swami cleared his throat, and then Swami said, did you all watch, what happened? I said, Swami, yeah, we saw a small boy and, you created vibhuti. And Swami said, not only that boy had a cancer, and Swami took over that boy's cancer. And we were like, we didn't know what to say. We didn't know how to speak, how to react. And Swami literally lifted his, the hair from his cheeks. And we could see, the swelling, this much red lump, towards his cheek. And Swami gently took my hand and he told me to press it to feel the cancer. So my hand was on Swami's cheek, and just was very red, swollen. So I could feel it. And we didn't know how to react to that. And Swami said, no problem. It'll be there for 3 days. And then the Swami had taken over his cancer, and it will be there for 3 days, but it is painful. And those days Swami used to have dinner inside the interview room there, the old mandir, and then Swami used to go to Purnachandra. So that 3 days, immediately after Arati, Swami used to go and used to come out, because he never had dinner, because he was not able to swallow. And barely he was able to speak, but keeping so much of pain as a physical level, he had so much of pain, but still from outside, none of them knew that Swami had taken that much cancer on his cheek and Swami suffering. And he had smilingly, he is able to give, he's giving darshan, blessing, people were asking XYZ, Swami was showering love, but he was inside, having that pain. And we were literally praying every day, Swami, please, try to, cure yourself very fast. And after 3 days, again, Swami called us inside, and Swami had shown, that cancer was, the lump was completely vanished. So I only pray to all the devotees and everybody, saying that it's easy to ask Swami, Swami, please reduce my pain, please take over my pain, Swami, please do. So I feel other way around. We should ask Swami, like, please give us the strength to bear the pain or to face the karma what we have done. It Swami can do in a split second, but Swami also takes on his physical body. I'm sure that he might have done for several devotees, I'm sure, but he might have cured. It might appear like he has cured, but he might have taken it also. So in our prayers, if we can modify the prayer to give us the strength to bear the pain, and take the karma, to follow the karma, and then make sure that we will be able to face it, will not be able to repeat it again, and face it with Swami's strength. That is where the prayer, I feel that we all should take as a lesson, and then make sure that we always pray for his grace, and as well as to face the karma challenges, whatever it is. After all, Swami used to say life is a challenge, face it. So that's what I sincerely feel that should be the agenda. If you go back to Mahabharata, Kunti Devi also asked Krishna. Krishna asked after the Mahabharata war, what do you want? I can give you. I can send you to heaven. He said, no, I give me more difficulties. Why you want more difficulties? Because I want to think about you. The more you think about you, you will be coming and giving darshan. So that is where I feel that we should always think about Swami, and then give us strength and courage to face the challenges, whatever it is in the life, and ensure that we pass on our karma without any struggles or without any efforts. So this is what the kind of a resolution which I took. I always pray to Swami now, Swami, whatever you do is best. If any challenges are there, difficulties are there, give me the strength to pass through it. So please help me in that. So that is what my prayer is.
I remember that. I remember when, even though I missed that first interview, I think 3 days later, I was really lucky, and Swami really showed and said, "Oh, it's all gone." So that was really fascinating. I remember, like Pavan, we were sharing some of the experiences that when you're being around Swami, Swami really surprises you, and he would suddenly create a hot laddu, and if it is too sweet, he will then make it a savory. He will create a samosa and diamonds and all that. But in the next minute, I remember once he suddenly said, "Boys, I think three or four of us," he said, "don't have worldly desires." Right? Amidst of all of this, he said, don't have worldly desires. Desire only for God. Only if you have God, you will have everything. And he said then, happiness is actually union with God. And the association, he wanted us to be all the time associated and connected with him. And you sort of mentioned about previously about the pain. Give us the strength to really bear that pain. And I had this experience then, because there was a mention on my sportiness in the introduction. This was, I think, grade 12. I was the favorite to win the individual championship and really bask in personal glory. And it was 400 meters heats. That was the last event. And if I really got gold in that, I would have really got that individual championship, and I was quite confident that I would get it. But while I was running the heats, and I completed it in a record time, but middle, my spikes hit a stone, and my ankle got twisted, and it was very painful, and I couldn't run the finals, and I sort of lost the individual championship, and I just got another medal, and because Swami was at that point in time the center of our lives and attraction, he was talking to you and he was giving you so much attention, and we were constantly thinking about him, and I didn't feel the pain of that loss. At any other normal time, I would have felt the pain, and I would have felt, oh my God, what will everyone say? I lost, and I was supposed to be favorite, someone who is not as good as me. You just sort of get into that ego game. And but here, because Swami was really talking to you, and I remember I went. We used to go in a cycle, because I had my leg was sprained. It was a hairline fracture, And I sat in the mandir, and Swami would come, and Swami would sort of rub it in and say, "Hey, poor chap, he actually lost. He was about to win his race, and he lost it." And I never felt anything. I felt so happy that Swami is talking to you, right? Even though it appeared to everyone that Swami was trying to rub it in, and Swami would chuckle and go. And I remember that particular prize distribution day, and I was lucky to get so many medals. Like if you're a student in in all your years, every year everyone wants to win something in sports so that you get a picture with Swami, and Swami puts a medal on you, right? That's a coveted moment in your life. And but here I was, okay, I'm not getting the cup because I'm supposed to get individual championship, but I wasn't really feeling bad. And that year, when Swami put the medal on me, it was just a normal medal. He put it on my neck, and I bent down, and he pinched my ear. Okay, he pinched my ear, and no one saw it, and only me and Swami saw it, and I was in bliss. Like he acknowledged, right, that I lost. I felt that he acknowledged that, okay, I lost that, but it didn't really matter to me because I was getting his attention, I was getting his love, and I was actually jumping. I was actually jumping in joy, and it never happened after that. I think I got individual championships or medals after that, and it was just Swami just putting a normal medal. He never, that particular experience never ever happened. And subsequently, I actually remember was my leg was sprained, and what happened was, it was, I think, one morning darshan. Swami called again Pavan, and Swami gave him a 100 rupee note, and Swami told him, okay, take this and go and have breakfast. Take those two boys also with you. And I could barely walk because if you get an ankle sprain, it's massive, right? And the pain was really not there, and I just ran and I went along and went to the canteen, and I think that the key takeaway for me is your association with Bhagwan, right? Your connection with Bhagwan is all that we need. That was my takeaway. I remember, like, once Swami had called me in the morning for morning darshan, and usually it was also the Sevadal time, and the change of Sevadals, and Swami would come and he would go and give you, and he would go and bless all the Sevadals and take letters and give Pad Namaskar, and we would give vibhuti. And that day he told me, go to the interview room and get the vibhuti bag. And I went and got the vibhuti bag, and I was following Swami. I was shocked when people were taking Swami's Pad Namaskar, and then many people started taking my Pad Namaskar as well. And I was just 18, right? 18 or 19 years or 17 years old. And it's just that, right? You're associated with Swami, and everything comes around you. And if you lose that connection, then that pain really comes across you. And I remember, like, and after that incident, I was sort of bloating a little bit of ego. And I remember once I had asked Swami, and I'm a big student of self-confidence now, and it always intrigued to me, like, how come some people are really so self-confident? And for me, I'm like, I'm not really good enough, I can't go and speak and all that stuff. And I actually asked Swami once, Swami, what's the difference between ego and self-confidence, right? And Swami, in his beautiful way, he just said, ego is the external eye, and self-confidence is the internal eye. And at that point in time, I didn't understand anything about it. And now, if I really look back, and being in the topsy-turvy world, and where you have to manage conflict all the time, right? We need that sanctuary of silence, which he emphasized, that sanctuary of silence, not just keeping quiet with your mouth and not talking, but keeping quiet in your mind to really get into that self, and not comparing and not saying that, okay, I'm not good enough, or or I'm better than that guy. It is always that, okay, when Swami is with me, when I get into that sanctuary of silence, I have to get into it and dip into it on a regular basis to really overcome the conflicts and the pressures of life. And that was uh, a massive takeaway in terms of going inside and praying to Swami. And I actually didn't emphasize at that point in time too much of prayer. I remember once, this was while I was working, I went and asked Swami for an interview. And I think my parents had come or something like that. And Swami said, "Yeah, I'll give you interview in the evening. Be ready." But then suddenly Swami said, "But pray." And I had no idea what Swami meant uh, by pray, right? I said, okay, I'm getting an interview in the evening. And I was excited. I went and put in new clothes, and I was ironing, and I was in heaven, in the ninth heaven. But then my ego cropped up, right? The pride really caught up, and I started identifying with the external eye, and I started saying, I called up a friend of mine, and I said, I'm going to get an interview this evening, so I'm not going to sit front. I'm going to sit behind, and you will see me. Swami will call me, and I'll walk across everyone, and then I'll call my parents and all that. And I was like, just floating in that ego, right? Floating in that ego. And Swami comes in the evening, and I'm sitting behind. I don't sit front because I've taken it for granted. He told me in the morning you will get an interview, but he said pray, and I didn't pray at all. Because I thought, okay, whom should I pray? I prayed to you in the morning, and Swami came, and he just took. He came, he gave darshan, and he didn't look at me, and I was crying, and this brother was sitting beside me, whom I told him, and it was so embarrassing, and I was really schooled, and for me, it's like Puttaparthi was a schooling of your ego, right? Swami would see to it that you don't have that ego. And that was my resolution: just be silent and accept him, and then the grace will really come in. So I'll put the spotlight back to you, Pavan. Can you tell about your experience of that 100 rupee note, and because we sort of share that same experience, what happened then?
Yeah. So let's go back to the connecting dots. So one moment, one action of Swami, messages for two people, might be prayers which is answered. So let's go back. So you heard, all of you heard now Amitabh Das Gupta's 100 rupees experience. Now let's see on the same day what happened. The same day, like it was a Sunday morning, 6 a.m. We were having, they generally give in hostel white upma and bread, and which many of the students don't cherish so much, according to me. But that time, those days, so we just ran for a morning darshan, and I did not have my breakfast. So we all sat in the middle portico, and Swami came. Swami took group of devotees for interview. So before he shut down the interview room door, Swami asked a few of the boys outside what was the breakfast. So everybody said Swami upma and white bread. So everybody was dragging the faces. So we were not. Swami asked me, "Did you have?" I just did not answer anything. So I just kept quiet. So Swami could understand that I did not have the breakfast, and I just came directly for darshan. So Swami went inside interview room door, and then Swami came out, and Swami peeped out his head. His body was inside interview room door, inside interview room, and Swami's face was outside the door, and Swami looked at me and said, "Come." He called me. So then I ran to Swami, and then my head was inside the interview room door. My body was facing behind. I was not inside the interview room door, so my body was facing the middle portico, and Swami quietly slipped 100 rupee note inside my pocket. He said, "Go and have breakfast and come." So, and that is where even the other two boys also Swami said, so because Swami could understand that we did not have. So we three of us ran to canteen, and then we I was very reluctant to give that 100 rupee note to the person who is there in the counter. And how do I tell him that, sir, this is Swami has given 100 rupee note. You please don't, keep it with you. I'll come back and take it. So I did not, because I don't have any other spare money. So if I don't have, Swami will ask, why did you not have? Then I cannot tell Swami, I can't, go and change the 100 rupee note. So with reluctance, I said, okay, Jai Sai Ram. So I just gave the 100 rupee note. And then we bought a few coupons. I think those days, I think Upma was hardly 1 rupee, 2 rupees. I'm talking about 1994. So when we went inside the canteen, so we asked Sevadals, sir, what is there for breakfast? They said only Upma is there. If you want to eat, you eat, or you can go out. And we said, is there any other breakfast item other than Upma? They said, no, only Upma is there. So now we are in a fix. We have no other choice. So I had to eat Upma. My friends had to eat Upma. Everybody had Upma. And we came back and sat. And interview was over. And Swami came out. And Swami called. He said, what did you have, sir? I said, Swami, Upma. Then Swami chuckled. Swami said, whatever I give you is good. Whatever I give you is good. You accept it. So I got the message. So that, whatever Swami gives you in your life. So that was a simple example of a breakfast item. But he has given a lot of message inside that whatever I give you is a good. If you reflect back and see, now we all think that, okay, Swami, why are you not giving me that? Why are you not giving me this? But if you go to the big picture, right? So my understanding is that instead of you asking something, you leave it to Swami. He knows at what moment, what he should give to you, which is the best for that situation. So this is where I feel that we need to be flexible in our asking to Swami what we need. Instead of that, Swami, you please give us what is best for us. So that is where acceptance comes, when you want to really surrender to Swami and say that. As Gupta has mentioned, couple of creations inside Bundi, Laddu and everything. So I'll just quickly share that experience. Gupta, you were there in the interview room. We all of us were there, and suddenly Swami looked at me and said, oh, you're from Hyderabad. I said, yes, Swami. Which is a famous Hyderabad sweet shop? I said, Swami, no doubt, Pulla Reddy. Oh, is it? Is it very good? I said, Swami, yes, he is one of the best, He said, what is a famous dish which he prepares? I said, Swami, Bundi Laddu is very good, Swami. People generally take a lot of, it's a very nice and very, oh, is it? Then Swami waved his hand and he created a Bundi Laddu for us. And Swami gave in our, palm. We all stretched our palm, and Swami gave, little bundi laddu to all of us. 4 of us were there, and then Swami showed his palm like this, and we could see that, this palm was completely covered with ghee. And Swami said, "Okay, you smell it." So Swami put it in front of my nose. So it was like the ghee aroma was oozing out, and Swami said, this is pure ghee. That guy mixing. So this is what pure ghee it is. And then we all said, Swami, it is too sweet, Swami, too sweet. Oh, is it too sweet? So you want to eat something spicy? He said, yes, Swami, yes, Swami. Then again, Swami waved his hand. And again, he created a small samosas, with the spicy samosas, the round shape. And Swami gave to 4 of us there, and we had those small spicy samosas. And it was like, even though so small, but it was like, the punch of masalas and everything was there inside that small thing. And when we ate, we said, Swami, it is very spicy, because we knew that we were not satisfied. So we wanted to ask Swami in a way that, Swami, it is too spicy. Oh, Swami said, oh, too spicy? I said, yes, Swami, it is very spicy. Oh, Papam, okay. Then we were thinking, okay, Swami will wave again something. Then Swami said, no. Swami asked, if I remember, I think Swami asked, or Swami got us from inside the interview room a glass of water to give us to drink. Now, if you see that, why Swami has to shower so much love and affection on us is not something which you are craving for something to eat bundi or anything, but it's trying to teach us a lesson that whatever you guys have a sincere prayers, whatever love you show, and Swami's love is like 1,000 mothers love. When you are feeling, if you have not eaten breakfast, Swami feel pain. Okay, oh, my children had not eaten breakfast, so he took the pain. He's not a physical mother, but you see the kind of a mother's love what Swami showers on students. So that is where I felt that who else can give this kind of love and affection, and what are we trying to learn from his his all these actions. So our love and our prayer should be such a selfless, and we should not be asking for some things which we wanted to for material things. So if we stop doing that, Swami will automatically will come, and then he will give he will shower that motherly love, and he will show you the way he wants to treat you all, so, and shower eminence love. So this is where I think, Gupta, I just wanted to connect both the dots of 100 rupee and as well as our the material, the bundi laddu, what you're mentioning over there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very, 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 very nostalgic. There's one experience. What comes to my mind? This was after I finished my MBA, and suddenly, and I was waiting for Swami's blessings to go out in the world and get a job, and I got associated again with good company, and Swami was talking to our batch of MBA boys, and he had given research to some of my classmates, and suddenly one fine morning he called me for an interview, and I went into the interview room, and he called me into the personal interview room, and then suddenly he said, what do you want to do? And I said, Swami, whatever you want me to do, right? Swami, I surrender to you, and whatever you say, I'll do. And Swami said, no, you tell me what you want to do. And I said, no, Swami, whatever you say, I'll do. And then Swami immediately got up from the personal interview room, and Swami said, I called you to ask you what you want to do, and you're asking me again. So what is the point? And Swami sort of got up, and Swami was about to go back into the main interview room, and I caught Swami's feet, and I said, Swami, I want to do research. Okay, and then Swami got excited, and Swami came back and sat down in his chair. He spent 10-15 minutes with me, and he said, you do research on this topic, and go and meet Professor Ramurthy, and he gave me so much of instructions. And he said, immediately after bhajan, you go to the college. And I was very, very happy that, okay, I'm going to be there for another 4 years, and Swami is going to give me research. And I went out. I went to the college, and I went and met Professor Ramurthy, and we had a lot of discussions. I went and met our registrar sir, Professor Lakshmi Narasimhan sir, and then I was on cloud 9. And next morning, suddenly Swami didn't come near me. He just ignored me, and he walked off. And Professor Lakshmi Narasimhan came to me and said, hey, Swami is really upset with you. There is no research for you. And I'm like, sir, what happened? He said, I don't know, Babu, but Swami is really upset. Can you just tell me exactly what happened in the interview room yesterday? And I told him exactly that full thing, that Swami asked, what do you want to do? And I said, whatever you want to do. And then finally he was about to get up, and I said, okay, Swami, I want to do research. And then he said, Babu, Swami tricked you. He wanted to really find out whether you really surrendered. Okay. And he wanted to take it out from you what you really wanted. And I think you were caught. So good luck, Babu. So I think you just have to wait. And then I realized, right, I was sort of my mind was thinking I surrendered, but actually I hadn't surrendered. I had my own inner feelings that I want this. Even though I'm telling Swami that I surrender to you, I'll do whatever you want, but I have this inner urge that I want to do this, and Swami really got that from you. And I was thinking cold storage for next 2 or 3 months, and Swami didn't really look at me. And suddenly Swami sent word again through Professor Lakshmi Narasimhan sir that he wants me to join the ashram. And I was not sure, and he said, okay, there is an accountant position. We want one of our boys to be an accountant there. And I immediately told sir, I'm not an accountant. I'm a science student. I did an MBA. I have no idea of debit and credit too much. Okay, and we had two super brilliant guys waiting along with me, Sai Manohar and Raghuram now, who are in Swami's institutions now, and they were brilliant minds in accountancy. And here was I, like I had no idea about accounts. And Lakshmi Narasimhan said, Swami wants only you to do the job. You will learn it on the job. And I was like, oh man, I'm not sure whether I should do this. And I go to Swami next day, and Swami is really excited that okay, he's got a job for me, and I'm not at all excited. And I'm like, I don't know accounts again, right? I'm like, I've learned the lesson, and again you fall, and again you don't surrender, right? And you think, oh my God, I can't do this, and because I have got no experience, okay, I have not got a qualification. And then I was, then Swami actually called us, and he said, go and meet the ashram authorities, Mr. Chiranjeevi Rao and our Chakravarti sir. And I went and met that evening, and I went and I found that the average age with whom I'm going to work is around 70. Okay, and I'm a 24-year-old boy, and I was thinking, oh my God, am I going to be I'm going to have my entire career in amidst these people? And they were brilliant people. Later on, when I worked with them, I was so lucky to have worked with such great souls. And no offense to them, but I was like, as a young mind, I was like, how can this be possible? And I was tensed, and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not sure what will happen to my life. And Swami was very happy that I'm actually joining here. And those days there were no computers, and I was supposed to go and help in computerizing the accounting. People were still using those big ledgers. This was around 1999, around 2000. And next morning, I'm so unhappy about what has happened. And I go to the mandir, and Swami is excited, and Swami is giving me, okay, you go and join on such and such date and such time. He doesn't talk about Rahu Kalam. He talks about the good time when I'm going to join. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not sure whether this is the right thing to me. And he comes, and there's in the evening there are some birthday boys, and I'm sitting in the front row, and he comes and he creates vibhuti, and how naive and how foolish I was, and I didn't want that vibhuti, because for me, okay, if I take that vibhuti, that means I'm accepting this job which I don't want. Okay, and I'm like, I'm not going to take this vibhuti. And Swami goes and gives vibhuti. There's some 10 birthday boys, and he goes and gives it to everyone little by little. And then finally, when everyone is raising their hands, you just fall into that pressure. And I just put my hand, and Swami pours the full vibhuti in my hand. He was storing that, and he says, I'm very excited for you. Go and join. And I go and join. And next day I come and I write a letter to Swami. Swami, I don't think so I can do this, right? And then Swami reads that letter to some of the music boys Swami had called in the into the interview room and saying, see, I am giving him a job. People are waiting to get a job, and this boy doesn't want it. Then Swami comes into the portico. He comes to the portico, and he says, okay, do you want this job or not? And I'm like confused, right? I don't know whether to say yes or no, because once I said yes and I got into trouble, and Swami said, oh, you have not really surrendered. And then he called the Vice Chancellor, S.V. Giri sir, and he said, okay, I think he wants to do research. Do you have any research quota left? And it was a big drama, and S.V. Giri sir said, Swami, research quota already got over. And then Swami said, see, according to rules, I can't give you, right? Big drama, so there's no research. So you have only this job. You take this job or you go home. And you tell me what you want now. And this is in the portico, right? This is not in the interview room. This is in public. I have Brindavan teachers there. I have the Brindavan warden there. Everyone is looking. And Swami is taking letters and is walking along the middle portico in the path. And Swami is asking me, okay, do you want this job or you want to go home? And I'm not answering. And people are pressurizing me from behind. Answer, man, answer. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to answer because I don't know. I'm totally, at that moment and that point in time, I felt what surrender was. And I cried in my heart. And I said, I don't know if I say yes, whether it is right. If I say no, it is right. I don't know. And I didn't say anything. And Swami asked me around 9-10 times. He was going. And then finally, when he came towards me and he gave this beautiful smile of compassion. And he said, I know you're confused. Don't worry. Do it for now. And I'll take care. And it was like, it was like the water gave way, and I was like so happy. And I said, I felt what surrender really meant at that point in time. I remember once Swami had called a few of us, and Swami was talking about Hanuman. And Swami's favorite example. And when you are near Swami, you get really excited, right? And I think a couple of us told Swami, make us your Hanuman, or we want to, please give us the devotion and all that. And Swami just said one beautiful word, and he said, just be Hanuman and do like Hanuman. And it didn't strike me then what Swami meant, but now if I really look back, and if you see the characteristics of Hanuman, right, when he was asked to jump over the ocean, right, and I try to use that as my life as well. When I was trying to get into finance, and now in my profession, I'm actually a finance professional at KPMG, right? So I was so afraid of finance, and I was scared that I didn't have that education qualifications, I didn't have that experience, and I cannot do that job. And I told Swami I can't do it. And here was Hanuman, who didn't complain that, okay, he didn't have the qualifications, he has never done it before. And what did Swami mean by being Hanuman and doing Hanuman? It struck to me that all the time Hanuman was silent. He never talked. He just kept chanting the Lord's name all the time. It didn't matter. Everyone else was thinking, oh, who will do? And Hanuman was just quiet. He was just chanting Lord's name. And when they asked him to jump, he didn't think about it. He didn't say, I don't have the qualification. He just jumped, and he just flew after that, right? And that was that message of being Hanuman and doing what Hanuman was. As a big, massive takeaway for me.
Yeah. So same thing. If I recollect now, one more incident. I think you probably remember the messengers. Remember, we had a interview room. Swami created one medallion. Do you want to say that?
You say.
Okay, fine. So one interview, same, taking the Hanuman as example. Swami called a few of us inside interview room, and then Swami created one medallion, this much size big medallion, like India map. I think Swami created, if I'm not wrong, in 70s, where India map, and we have a dots, silver dots, where Swami said these are the Sai centers, and this like 19 Sai centers where they will be going, and I should say the glory of Swami will be emanated through these Sai centers. So Swami created that medallion, and Swami started telling that there's going to be a lot of transformation is going to take place from now on, not only in India but also abroad, in all the world, over the world Sai centers. So Swami asked, who wants to be the messenger or the torchbearer of Swami's mission? And I think 4 or 5 people were there. So I told Das Gupta's name, he told my name, and somebody told X name, other person told. So we are only distributing our names to show in front of Swami. Swami, we want to be messengers of those centers, and then we want to take it forward to Swami's mission. And Swami gave a deep thought and said, "You think Swami had not planned these messengers? Swami had planned already all the messengers." And Swami also said the messengers are not only in India, but also all the messengers are also in abroad. So the Swami's mission is always ongoing mission. And I think Swami has given Vivekananda. Gupta, might be you can share that Vivekananda.
Yeah. I think so. I think again, right? When you are in Swami's presence, and you are a young bloke, right? And your ego plays with you, right? You want to be in that limelight. You want to be that messenger, okay? So that everyone knows that you're in the messenger. And the same thing, it happens to everyone. It happened to me, and I kept telling Swami, I want to be one of those messengers, those 18 messengers, you know. And then Swami was very compassionate, and he said, "What? Why do you say 18 messengers for Swami? There will be 18 crore messengers for Swami. It is not just one or two, it will be 18 crore. Where Ramakrishna had just one Vivekananda, Satya Sai Baba will have thousands and crores of Vivekanandas." Right? So it gives you that, many of us think, oh, we want to be that messenger. And so many people ask, but it's just like everyone is that messenger if you just follow his, if you just actually follow his life.
Yeah, and we as a Sai centers and as well as the organization, we have to play an important role over here. Because I always reflect, so it's always I reflect why Swami has given us a chance to us to be, why did Swami had created to us, and why did he shown it to us, and why did he explain the concept of Swami centers and organization. So if I reflect back, and then what is the resolution, what is the takeaway we should take from that is like, you must be knowing the lighthouses, right? The lighthouse is where it's always a constant, and it always shows the path for the ships which are sailing in the darkness, so that they can be called to the shores. So we as a Sai centers, we have to follow that torch, and that kind of a lighthouses where we always, through our selfless seva and service, what Swami has always taught us, so that it will attract. The people can give thousands and tons of speeches, but if we don't follow, the service, or if we don't follow the messages of Swami through action, then how much ever we talk is not going to be, sufficient. So if I need to compare with every Sai center in every district, in every country, in every nook and corner where we have Swami's centers, I call them as a the kind of a lighthouses which have to be showing the path, not only by self practicing, as well as to make sure that other people also know about them. So they should be able to know, okay, this set of people are something different from other set of people. So this is where the Swami's glory and Swami's messages will go into the each and every nook and corner of the nation as well as abroad. And then only I think we have made our kind of a small offering at Swami's lotus feet, and say that yes Swami, like after having heard, after having seen your darshan and sparshan and sambhashan, we as a students or office torch bearers, we take a resolution, a strong resolution, that we try to implement whatever you have taught us, a selfless service into the society, and make sure that we get a good name to ourselves, and also clean ourselves, clean our egos, and also be humble, and then be presentable in front of everybody. So with this, I have nothing to say. Gupta, you want to give any kind of last remarks?
No, I think I'm just conscious on time, because I'm working in the Australian time, so I'm not sure what's the time in India, and whether we have more time or I think, or whether it's a Q&A. So I will give it back to Ramaswamy sir to take us through.
Yeah, Sairam, you can go on for some more time, because we don't have that much questions. So you can take a few more minutes, Saram.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, Pawan, I just wanted to ask a few things uh, for you, and I was really fascinated with how Swami guided you in your education, and you call yourself an average student, right? And how and I'm sure you are not, and you're a brilliant mind, but how did Swami really take you from where you think you were, and how did he really guide you to your board exams and all that stuff? That'll be a fascinating story. I think you spoke to me about this some time ago.
Yeah, okay. So this is about, obviously we were in the 12th standard and the pressure was building up. And, I was more interested in playing, cricket and volleyball, and I was not concentrating. And Swami has, all the facets like, mother and father. He's a strict father also, right? So, and I just give a couple of, two incidents which quickly summarizes this the student journey as well as a corporate life. So how Swami expects you to do well and study well, prepare well. And Swami one day asked, "Are you guys are not getting up in the morning to study for board exam?" I said, "Swami, no, we are trying." He said, "No, I'm seeing you are not studying at all." So then Swami lovingly, me and my other friend were there interview room. Another friend said, "Swami, I had some health problem. I can't get up in the morning. I have a wheezing problem. I can't get up." So Swami looked at me and said, "What about you? You are healthy and everything is good. You should study." So I said, "Swami, I'm trying." Then Swami created a beautiful alarm clock for us. And Swami said, "Take this alarm clock, put the alarm in the morning, get up, and then, study for board exam." So now the board exams were over except for me, because I was having a Telugu exam. So all other students have finished their board exams and they have gone to their homes, or people have gone to their people have gone to Brindavan to have Swami's darshan, because Swami was in Brindavan. So my board exam, Telugu exam, was falling on, I think, if I'm not wrong, on 4th of April in 1994. And Swami told me, "I'm taking you for Kodaikanal." But Swami said, "Hey, your board exam is not finished. Sorry, I cannot wait for you for so long. I'm leaving you and going." I said, "Swami, please, you please, wait for me. I want to join you for Kodai." Then Swami said, I don't know, I can't guarantee you." So I was more praying to Swami that, "Swami, please, try and see if you can postpone your Kodai trip for a couple of days so that I can join." And then you don't believe, like, my board exam was on 4th of April, Telugu exam, 100 marks, and I attempted only for 68 marks because I knew pass was 35. I didn't want to leave at pass mark. I wanted to come above 60 so that Swami will not, be upset with my performances. So I wrote for 68 and I gave my paper, and then there was a bus which was waiting for me right opposite the school. I boarded the bus. I went to Brindavan. And then Swami, in the Trai session, Swami was asking whether I was coming or not. And I think some of the teachers had told Swami he's on the way. And then I reached there. And then I was there in front of Swami. And Swami was almost going to the Trai, to the upstairs to retire in his room. And Swami looked from up. He said, "Swami," he asked, "How did you write your exam?" I said, "Swami, I wrote well." He said, "Okay, let me see the numbers." So inside, I was having a feeling that I attempted only for 68, and lo and behold, when the results have come, and I got 78 in Telugu, and I went to Swami, and then I told Swami I got 78. I said, "I know, because you came running, you wanted to join me, so I gave 10 marks grace for you." So I felt so happy, that Swami has, put those grace marks extra, and overall percentage also, Swami has given me 78%, and I was never expecting, that kind of percentages. And then Swami said, "Don't worry, wherever you go, I take care of you." And Swami has meant those words, and Swami has meant those words. He's never ever abandoned me alone. And Swami was throughout my journey. And just to give you another 2 more minutes, as you know, I was not something like I am or a or a gold medal or anything, but Swami had showered so much of love that he made me go to Singapore, stay for 10 years, and he has taught me number of lessons in Singapore. The first day of my Singapore, I'll never ever forget in my life. And I was right from landing of the Singapore. I was given a guest house, and I came with the luggage. I got a key from some person. I opened the door. The moment I opened the door, Swami's picture was there in the house. It was sharing apartment, three of us, and nobody was there in the house. I opened the door, there was Swami's picture. And I was so happy to see Swami's picture in my room in Singapore. And I was asking who was this person. So when I tried to inquire, I asked the person on the phone. I didn't know how to say, which I should say Sai Ram or whatever it is. I said, Sai Ram brother, I see one photograph here, Swami's photo. By chance, where are you? He said, brother, my name is this. I said, I told my name is Pavan. Then he told me the other side, the brother told, I am your junior brother. I know you very well. So Swami has taken, every step. Then I went to the office. When I went to the office, I met my boss and I finished my first meeting with my boss. I came out. When I came out, I saw Swami's picture in one of the desk where another colleague of mine, he's having a Swami's picture. Then I was thinking, then I asked Sai Ram, then I told him I came today only first day. That's the first day of Singapore. He said yes. Then it happened to be Thursday. Then that person had told me, why don't you come for bhajans if you are free today evening? I went along with him for the bhajans. When I stepped into a Molmin center in Singapore, the first slide is there. Before the Vedam start, they put a slide over there, constant slide. Wherever you go, I am there with you. I'll never leave you. I'm always with you, in you, around you, above you, below you. These were the words which Swami has put as a first slide. Mind you, all these were on first day of my Singapore. So I was, what should I say? I'm so grateful, Swami, you have till now, till this moment, I know you are taking care of us. You are there with us, guiding us, and like a small, baby holding you. I hope and we pray that you will never ever make our hand slip from your hand. With these humble thoughts, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Thank you, brother Amitabh and brother Pavan. It was a very wonderful and enjoyable session. We just have a few questions. We'll alternate between brother Amitabh and Pavan. First question is from Amitabh, brother. How do I eliminate the doubt that I am close to Swami?
How do you eliminate the doubt that you are close to Swami?
Yeah.
I think for me it is actually a couple of things, right? When you have the doubt, that means your mind is coming into the picture, right? And Swami's, if I reflect back on Swami's words on silence, is one of the most important things. When you silence your mind, okay, that doubt goes away. Because we have been telling stories to ourselves that I am not close to Swami, someone else is closer to Swami, right? Some of the students are closer to Swami. It is the story which we tell ourselves, mind in and mind out. So if you silence that mind away, okay, that is the most fundamental step of the doubt going away, whether I'm of what story I'm actually telling my mind. Okay, if you for me is getting into that silence, getting into that sanctuary of silence, hearing Swami's stories, okay, and just remembering him is the most important. Because I remember in our 12th class interview, there was one student who asked Swami, and the question was, Swami, how can I think of you? It's not practical that I think of you all the time. How is it possible? And I felt that was a very practical question to Swami at that point in time. And Swami said, why not? Why not? And Swami said, and Swami gave an example uh, of Indian village lady where there is no water at house and she has to travel to some amount of distance to a well to get the water, and she leaves her child at home, right? And the child is there in the crib, and even though she is gone to get the water, she is picking up the water. All the time, her attention is there on her child, right? So Swami said, when she can do it, why can't you do it? And that was his standards, right? And I find myself, right, when you are in conflict at workplace, at your family, at which is sort of part and parcel of life, and that constant remembrance is so important. And I slip so many times, and that is my attempt, that okay, how do I constantly be there? And when I slip, I get angry, right? When I don't think of him, I get angry, or I may be a little bit rude, or I may answer an email in the wrong way, not being polite, and and all these things really slip away. So that constant remembrance is something very practically Swami mentioned. Silence your mind, okay? Then there is no doubt whether Swami is separate from you, and you sort of get into that oneness. And then that constant remembrance of Swami, whether you do it through bhajans, whether you do it through satsang, whether you do it through chanting, or whether you do it through selfless service, right? Whichever suits you. I think that is what has sort of worked for me, and that's what I have heard from Bhagwan.
Sai
Hope
Ram.
that answers your question.
Yes, definitely. As you said, it's all about the mind. The mind is the main
Correct.
thing. Yeah. The next question for Brother Pavan. Swami is showering lot of vibhuti in devotees' home. What is the significance of the vibhuti coming?
This is a basically many people ask these questions, very often, that Swami is showering vibhuti, Swami is showering kumkum, Swami is giving amrit and everything, right? This is a common phenomena where Swami shows his presence and then his love to, I should say, chosen people, or I should say, he's giving a direct message saying that if you keep your heart and environment and place and clean, okay, there is way for me to show you the grace. Okay, there's a way to show a grace towards those people. So we need to be very clear. Swami is giving vibhuti does not mean that we are above the average, or we are the premium people. Swami is not giving that kind of a message over there. Swami is trying to give you that if you follow, if you try to keep the place in my heart, I will always shower in one way or other way. So it can be a vibhuti, it can be a dream, it can be something which can be a person through a service or anything. It can be anything which we need to open our eyes and see that Swami is where he's showing the way for you to that I am there with you. I am there with you. So this is what vibhuti is a small example. There are multiple ways where Swami gives a simple quotation. Suppose you're walking on a road, there can be a truck going, with a message. That message for that moment is for you to read. I had multiple experiences while I always have a disturbed mind or something like that when I'm traveling from home to office in Singapore in MRT. Suddenly I see a nice quote. It is not a Swami saying, but it is a nice quote on somebody's t-shirt. And I will be, okay, this message is what I'm trying to, look at it. So it is a message of Swami giving you through various forms. So vibhuti is one of it. So we cannot say that we are special in that, but you should look at it as a message, or you should look at it as a love and grace, and then take it forward.
Very nice, Brother Pavan. As you said, many of us have experienced it, like how we come across this kind of Swami's quote or any other Swami's image also. It makes a lot of difference. Brother Amitabh, this one is for you. How is it possible to remain calm and composed when the COVID pandemic is very severe and our thoughts get disrupted?
Okay, beautiful question. I think it's Swami's story, and it's like, what do you do when it is winter, right? You put on a jumper, right? I'm not sure in Chennai. I know they in Chennai there is no winter, but if you look at if you look at Melbourne, we are close to the Antarctica. So it's chilling. It's chilling in winters. Okay, and you can't be macho and show off that you are strong and not wear a jumper in winter. You have to wear at some point in time, right? And that jumper, when it is cold, when you have a pandemic, when there are difficulties, you have to wear that cloak of remembrance. You have to wear the cloak of prayer, right? And get deep inside and get into that silence which Swami wants us to get in and find him there, right? And Swami used to say, when you are sick, you take more number of tablets, right? And when you're in this COVID times, you're wearing that mask. But what is your inner mask so that you don't have the external things really impacting you? It's again back to the same message of Bhagwan. He's just remembering him, and like the example what I told you before, that Swami said, pray, right? That prayer is I'm like I can't still believe that he asked me that he's going to give me an interview in the evening, and he said pray for it. And now I understand that how much importance he really put in for prayer. So nothing like prayer which gives you strength.
Thank you, brother. Wonderful explanation of prayer and the strength of a prayer. That was nice. And one final question to Brother Pavan. What does Swami say about our responsibility towards our family deity? Because even in Shirdi Satcharita, Baba had asked Shama to visit his family deity. So has Swami said anything about this, our responsibility for family deity?
Okay, see, Swami, if you see many of the messages, Swami is to address Divyatma Swarupalara, right? Atma Swarupalara, Prema Swarupalara, right? And Swami had never ever said, I am God. Swami said, you are also God, you have to realize it, right? And Swami also said, don't all the paths reach to one destination itself, right? So all the religions, all the gods will reach to the same destination. If Swami was not giving attention to Tyagaraja, Kirtanas, or all these Ramadasa or Bhakta Tukaram or Mirabai, why did Swami enjoyed so many songs of those deities, right? Because Swami never felt that, okay, you only felt that, okay, you only come to Satya Sai Baba and only do prayer to Satya Sai Baba, only Swami's picture should be there and nothing else should be there. I don't think so. I don't think so that Swami has ever told that whatever you are following, follow the deity with utmost complete faith and surrender. To give you one example, I'll give you. It is live. You can verify it also. There is a priest in Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, okay, and he worships the idol over there, okay, and every day he washes the feet of that Venkateshwara, Lord Venkateshwara, and he thought, let me go to Puttaparthi and then see Swami, okay, and he had come to Swami in Puttaparthi, and he touched Swami's feet. The same touch he felt at Tirupati and same touch he felt at Swami's feet. And that person is an official priest who had been in Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. For him, it is same. So Swami takes the form of what you want to select. If you want to select Venkateshwara, he will take the form of Venkateshwara. If your deity is a Krishna, he will take the form of Krishna for you. He never said you discard Krishna, you discard Venkateshwara and come to me. He never said that. You take a stance of what you want. I will be manifesting in that form for you. What is your eyes want to see? What is your Ishtadaivam? You want to do that. He will transform himself. Why do we say Swami, like a Gayatri? We also worship Swami as Gayatri. Why? Because we know he is Samasta Deva Swarupa, right? So Swami never said that you always discard or throw away Lord Venkateshwara pictures or, any other pictures and then you only put my picture. Swami never said that. Swami never said I am God myself. Swami said you are God. You have to realize that. So this is where I feel that worshipping your Kula Daivam is utmost important, and see Swami in them. That's what I would say. That if you start seeing Swami in them, automatically you have no other conflicts. You have no other, should I put Venkateshwara picture and Swami's picture, or should I put Shirdi Baba picture and Swami's picture, Krishna picture, or should I put all the pictures? It's up to you. But have one faith that the divinity is there in everybody. And this is what the message I think Swami has given us.
Very nice, brother. Wonderful explanation. And as Swami says, he has never compelled anyone to take any form. Only you can pray whatever you wish, but he is there in everything. Sairam, so we have done away with the questions. We'll just have a quick run through. So we had a very beautiful and powerful message of Bhagwan of how one should focus on the goal in spite of various diversions. And Brother Amitabh, your first speech on the 1st of January 2014, it was a very wonderful experience. And what we feel is very special is that the two people who were blessed have been brought by Swami together specifically today for this session. That is wonderful Leela of Bhagwan. And connecting the dots after 25 years, that every step of Swami cannot be taken for granted. Swami's each and every action and word has a meaning. That was really wonderful. And as beautifully said, the quality of your life is exactly proportional to the quality of stories you tell yourself. And the beautiful compassion of the ever graceful Lord who took over the cancer of the little boy in the wheelchair. And what Swami says, don't have worldly desires, desire only God. And there was a strong message from Brother Pavan for all of us, how we need to pray to Swami to give us strength to face the challenges and tide over our karma, rather than asking Swami to take over all it. That was wonderful. And beautiful explanation about the difference between ego being the external eye and the self-confidence being the internal eye. And an important takeaway for us, all of us today from Brother Amitabh, is the sanctuary of silence. How the tongue as well as the mind needs to be calm to overcome all the confusions. And what a wonderful term. Puttapati is the schooling of your ego. And the 100 rupee incident was very enjoyable. And the end message from Swami was still better. Whatever I give you is good. And Brother Pavan, you left all of us, our mouth watering, telling us about the Bundi Ladu materialized by Swami. And how Swami lovingly guided Brother Amitabh after his finishing the MBA. And though you had no idea about your debit and credit, how Swami wanted you to do the job of an accountant. And all along the real test was about surrender. And sharing about Hanuman, like being Hanuman and doing Hanuman, we even recently read about what Swami used to tell the bhajan singers in the mandir, inside the mandir, that why he has kept Hanuman near his Swami's chair. If you don't swing in proper Shruti, Hanuman has a gada and he'll hit you. That was a wonderful incident we read recently. And how you both earned to be messengers of Sai, and how Swami said that there will be crores of Sai messengers. That is very true as on date. And thanks for Brother Pavan for finally sharing his academic journey from Prashanti Nilayam to Singapore. And Sairam, we now just conclude the session. Before that, I would like to recollect that bhajan Kalakalaya Kalakithaya Kalarupaya Namah Shivaya. Why am I singing this song? Because Swami is the embodiment of time. He is beyond time and he is the Lord of time. For the benefit of all our listeners, Sai brothers and sisters, please note that Brother Amitabh is right now in Melbourne. He is 4.5 hours away from us. He is past midnight, but still he is connected to us because of his pure love and compassion for Bhagwan. And it is ultimately the unconditional love which keeps us all connected in spite of whatever time zone or in whatever part of the world we are. So, on behalf of the Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization, Chennai Metro West, I sincerely thank Brother Amitabh Das Gupta and Brother Pavan Kumar for sparing their precious time to share their everlasting memories and wonderful journey with Bhagwan. And thanking Swami for this wonderful satsang. Let us all stay connected for many more such live sessions in the coming days. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Saram.
समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। साई राम।
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। 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 ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्।